Hello, welcome to the MMQB NFL podcast. I'm Conor. That's Albert Breer. And Albert, I achieved a very depressing life milestone this morning. I had to just use Bengay to get through the morning. I've never we had it in the house for like marathon training and stuff, and
Yeah.
over time. But this is the first time that it's been like in order for me to get from my bed to the car, to the kitchen, to the car to get the kids to school, I need Bengay, which is like an insane thing that just crept up on me in a way that, I mean, I guess you never know when you're going to hit that moment, but when you hit it, it's unpleasant. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, your knees hurt walking up the stairs yet? That's another life milestone.
I get them down. I can't walk down the stairs,
Yeah.
which is like a weird thing. Like at this point, I might just like do what my kids do and like slide on my butt down the stairs, just
Yeah.
and enjoy it. You know,
That's the
I don't
one
know.
like football injury that I had that lingered, like was from playing growing up, was my like a bad knee. Like, and so it was weird because like after I had surgery on it, like weather would affect it. You know what I mean? Like where, and this wasn't like when I was still like playing. This was like when I got older, it would be like it'd be raining, it'd be like, oh, my knee feels loose. That's weird. And so as you might imagine, that only gets worse with age, and then you start to compensate. And now both your knees are hurting, which is not great. You have lots. You have a few more of those checkpoints coming. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I feel like a scientist where like I just every day I'm just like, like I'm noting something like I'm this organism that I'm studying. I'm like, that's strange.
Running actually has a huge effect on you too. Like running, I'm addicted to the feeling of running. You know what I mean?
Me
And I
too.
love running to get myself going in the morning. But like I try to at least do part of my run where it's not on pavement now because it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
bad. But at least like because it's hard because we don't have like a lot of trails in my town. So like I try to like see if I can make it so like at least like a part of my run is on dirt or grass. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so yeah.
What like I don't understand how there's a lady from my neighborhood who's 80 and just completed an Ironman and like a legit full Ironman. So that's a marathon that's a 2.4 mile swim and like a 112 mile bike.
I mean, those people must be like Gumby. You know what I mean? Like my dad still runs. Like yeah, I my parents ran well into their 70s. My dad still runs. Like I don't know. It's hopefully I inherit that. But I see some of the like what some older people do, and yeah, it's freaking nuts.
I might just do the Dan Campbell and just get some titanium knees, and then that feels easier to me, and just like do it now and get it out of the way, and
Just
then
preventative.
yeah, like preventative titanium knees, and then I'm just like Iron Man, and I can literally and just kind of push through it. I don't know. I mean, it seems better than whatever's happening now because this is
Well,
this sucks.
what you'll find is like you say better, but like life becomes like a bunch of bad options when you get to a certain age. So,
I don't know
so
if I told this.
better might be a relative term.
I don't know if I told this story on the podcast, but I got hurt when I was training, and I went to a like a physical therapist, and the guy had like a mustache. It was very shady. The whole thing was like very questionable.
Dr. Nick
And
Riviera.
it was like, hey, we can get you in faster if you pay cash, like no joke. And I was like, all right. I was like, I just really need to see if I can complete the marathon. I don't really care, I just need you kind of just to give it a once over.
Yep.
And he takes a look at it, has me walk up and down the hallway and stuff, and he like looks around and he goes, um, and he writes like the name of like a steroid on a piece of paper and slides it to me across the desk and goes, uh, I can tell you where to get it and I can inject it for you, but I just can't purchase it for you. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, as long as you're not being tested by the World Anti-Doping Agency, he's like, you're not elite, are you? And I was like, clearly, no. I'm just trying to shuffle my way through this thing. And he's like, okay, great, great. And he's like, so you're gonna go to this place, you're gonna ask for this guy, you're gonna get this, and then you can come back and I'll shoot it into your Achilles so that you can make it across the finish line. And I was
Oh,
like, nope, I'm good. And he's like, because
yeah.
otherwise he's like, you're like 40, man. He's like, your Achilles is gonna hurt. And I was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna choose that option instead of
I'll go with my
steroids.
Achilles is going to hurt.
Instead of human growth hormone or whatever that was.
Well, but that's the thing. It's like I get freaked. Don't you get freaked out when your Achilles hurts? I
I
totally get freaked out. Like when my Achilles starts bothering me, that's the one thing. Like knees, ankles, like whatever. Like your arm, like my left arm, like your left arm is a problem. Like if your left arm like starts to like feel weird, like that does freak me out a little bit too for obvious reasons. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the Achilles is one that I probably shouldn't be running right now. You know what I mean? Like I probably should just walk for a little bit because of the amount of people in their 40s who just randomly pop their Achilles, and like what that can mean. Like if it's your right Achilles, you can't drive. You know what I mean? Like,
shit. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. You didn't know. So there's a radio host up here,
My
buddy
wife
of mine,
would
Tony
be so mad at me.
Tony Maserati, who was playing in a Celtics charity basketball game, popped his Achilles, his right Achilles. The radio station needed to hire a driver for him to get to and from work.
Was that the one that
But it makes sense though, right? It makes sense that you can't there's nothing you can do,
Yeah. I saw on Reddit that I won't pop it unless I'm sprinting. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it.
That's why tennis and basketball are really treacherous.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Well, the joys of getting old. This is why I'm never like, I stopped like I remember when I was in my 20s, right? And someone would call an NFL player injury prone. I was like, yeah, this guy's injury prone. Yeah. And now I'm like 37 and I'm like, can you leave him the fuck alone? You know what I mean? Because I'm hurt and he's hurt. And who gives a shit,
I mean, NFL players, it's just they have like an accelerated process because they're actually like doing physical activity way more than us. But like an NFL player, and calling an NFL player injury prone is like a window into like your 40s.
Oh my God, it's just all the time. We are in lieu of like a traditional preview this weekend. I mean, and we can get into some of the weekend slate here, Albert, but we're creeping up on the trade deadline.
Yep.
And we've already had a couple of deals done. And I'm curious I want to run through some of the big contenders and we can recap what's been done so far. I love the trade deadline, even though the NFL rarely, we had the Devontae Adams year, right? Was that trade deadline or no? That was in March. That wasn't a trade deadline. Well, yeah, Devontae Adams to the Jets was trade deadline.
Devontae Adams was trade deadline.
Both times? The one to the Raiders and
the one to the Raiders. The one to the Raiders was in March. And then the one to the Jets was trade deadline.
I'm trying to think like the biggest.
Because if you remember, he was on Mark Davis's special counsel that fired Josh McDaniels and made Antonio Pierce the head coach.
Yeah.
That had like 3 players on it and 2 of them were gone within like a year.
I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was a huge trade deadline deal. Minka Fitzpatrick to the Steelers. Oh, Carson Palmer to the Raiders. I'm trying to think of other ones.
That was
Marshawn Lynch to the Seahawks, Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. So we've had some big Christian McCaffrey outside
Ramsey,
of Herschel Walker.
Ramsey wasn't deadline. Ramsey was like earlier than that, wasn't it? It was like
It was earlier than the deadline.
Yeah, I think so, but I might be wrong about that. I don't know. They all blend together.
So I mean, there can be these sort of paradigm shifting moves. I mean, Christian McCaffrey behind Herschel Walker might be the most significant in-season trade, or Jimmy Garoppolo at the time. I mean, a quarterback to Super Bowl. I mean, don't forget that. And so there's still a chance, I think, and this weekend, I think will be instrumental in laying out the final blueprint for some teams, whether they're buyers or sellers. Because there's a lot of teams to me that are right on the cliff, Albert.
So just to give people like kind of like a window into this, the way this works is like you get to this weekend, and the reason I'd say there's like not a lot of movement on trades generally is it's 2 things. It's number one, like how many teams are truly out of it and willing to signal to their fans we're done, right? Like
Right.
we're turning the page to next year, because that can affect so many different things from a business standpoint and everything else. So that's number one. And then number two, if you look in that subset of teams that might be there, you're going to have to eliminate some teams where job security can play into it, right? Like,
Right.
to me, like Miami is interesting when it comes to that, right? And it's interesting that
Yes.
they're playing the Thursday before the deadline, which gives them a little bit more runway to work with it. But, like their willingness to trade their edge rushers, their willingness to trade Minka Fitzpatrick, like how much of the dynamics there when it comes to job security are a factor in that. Like if you're Chris Greer, are you trading these guys away from picks that you won't be using? You know what I mean? Like, so like I think that can play into why there's less activity too. But I would say like you get to this last weekend and there definitely can be some teams in the fence where it's like they get blown out, or they've been waiting to see what'll happen that last week, where it's like, okay, like now we're open for business.
Right. Because to your point, right? Like, let's look up and down just really quickly, right? In the AFC East, Patriots and Bills are buyers theoretically.
Yep.
The Dolphins, like you said, if you're Mike McDaniel, you want to ride this thing to the bitter end. You're like, I got to save this thing, and so if someone comes to you and is like, "Do you want to deal Jalen Phillips or Bradley Chubb?" It's like, "Nah, man, I have to,
Yeah.
I have to win." And if they're 3-6, again, that's not. If they're 3-6 and Tua throws for another 4 touchdowns on Thursday, it's just something that you can't completely discount. I don't know. And then you look at the whole AFC North. Everybody is a buyer theoretically, except for the Browns, and the Browns have. I'm guessing that the Browns will really get into the mix here. AFC South, there's only one seller. AFC West, there's only one seller. The Raiders, the Titans in the
Right.
AFC South, and then Raiders in the AFC West. NFC East, again, one seller, maybe the Giants,
The
but
Giants might have some of the same dynamics that the Dolphins have,
right. And I think that the Giants, historically, and even though that was a Dave Gettleman maneuver, I think historically they have believed in cutting off the free agency market and getting guys in the building and getting a look at them via the trade deadline before big deals. And so,
Yep.
could the Giants be adding for Jackson Dart? And so, I think it's like one of those deals where all of a sudden, you cut interest rates and a bunch of buyers flood the market, but there's just not a lot of homes. Like, I don't see a lot of teams out there that are so done that they are just like, yeah, you could take whoever we want. Like, Jonathan Gannon's not going to sell. The Cardinals aren't going to sell. They're going to try to get back into this thing.
So I'm looking at like real, like hard, they're in the seller category. Jets, Titans, the Saints, like you would put them there, but they really aren't. You know what I mean? Like, because like Mickey Loomis has been so reluctant to go through like an actual rebuild. Like, I think they are gonna look at like moving a few guys for sure over the next few days, but they've been historically reluctant to actually pull the trigger on deals. There just aren't a lot of teams where you would just categorize them as sellers. Now, some of it is playing coy too, right? Which is like, well, if we tell everybody we're sellers or we're open for business, then it's not going to be productive for us because teams are going to come in looking to just steal players and looking for bargains. And so if we're going to get top dollar, we can't like put ourselves out there as sellers. But yeah, I think that the names that you're going to be hearing are generally, I'd say well below a Myles Garrett,
Have you been looking for a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort? The CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. Guys, when you're a football writer, and I'm sure every other person can relate to this too, you're working all night, and then as soon as the games are over, as soon as you're done writing, it's not just an immediate go to bed situation. Your head's still flying around, spinning, you're thinking of a million different things. These gummies just help you, put you in a good headspace. You're centered, you're a little bit more relaxed, and you're ready to kind of drift off to a great night's sleep. That's how I use them. Cornbread hemp CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress, discomfort, or just needing a little relaxation. They only use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD. Right now, MMQB listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/MMQB and use the code MMQB at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/MMQB and use the code MMQB. Very quickly, we'll run through what's already happened. The Jets traded Michael Carter II to the Eagles for John Mechie III, which is very cool because not only is it generational names, it's a second for a third, but it's a player for a player. And yes, there was a back end pick swap there, but I love player for player trades. I just think that's like it's like a bygone era thing. Patriots sent Kyle Duggar to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 6th round pick. The 49ers got Keon White from the Patriots. Kind of pretty big. I mean, big in terms of like Keon White was supposed to be something there, and just it never materialized.
I mean, he was like,
staff, you know.
I said this on New England TV. Like Belichick had to be talked out of taking him in the 1st round over Christian Gonzalez that year. And
could you imagine?
Which I think the people who talked him out of it probably feel pretty good about having done that now. But yeah, I mean, like I think for New England, that's like they are looking like they're sniffing around on running backs, they're sniffing around on edge rushers. Like I think for New England, like that's more like deck clearing for Vrabel, you know, guys that he inherited that maybe aren't the best fit. And like to be fair to him, they also like extended a slot corner, Marcus Jones, this week. So he's given the guys that he inherited a lot of runway. And I think this is sort of indicative of it being decision time on a few of them, whether it's, yep, you're here for the long term or you don't really fit into our plans.
Yeah. In your mind, so I mean, I think part of the weird thing about it's sort of like your birthday, right? Like it's more fun to imagine what would happen than what actually happens normally on your birthday. Like trade deadline for me, I did my dream trades this week, and I had a blast doing it because you're like, oh man, like what if Joe Shane calls Brandon Beane and is like, listen, I see that Dexter Lawrence, you know, we need an interior defensive lineman. Dexter Lawrence isn't playing that well for you guys right now. He's getting ripped by Carl Banks on Giants radio. Send him up here and then we'll make use of him. And oh man, you know, whatever. Trey Hendrickson to the Colts for Lou Anarumo, and we put a throat down on the AFC South, and so many fun things. I don't think any of this is going to happen.
No.
I pitched a couple low end deals. Like, hey, I bet that the Lions, you know, if I were the Lions, I would call the Raiders for Eric Stokes, who had a really nice turnaround season, former 1st round pick, guy who knows the division well. But I mean, where are you at in terms of like, what's the biggest piece that could remain? Like, are you waiting to see if the Dolphins lose tonight? To see if maybe it's Chubb and Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, I think the Jets have some interesting names. So, you know, I think the Jets, it would take a lot to get Brees Hall out of there, maybe a day 2 pick, which is a lot, but he's a really good player. He's also in a contract year, you know? So maybe a little New York action with Scattaboo down. No, but I think the Jets, like with Brees Hall, Jermaine Johnson's another one that I would watch. I don't think they trade Will McDonald. I think that's off the table. Quinnen Williams off the table. Jermaine Johnson, Quincy Williams. I think there are some names there that would be available, though, at the right price. So I think they would look at Jermaine Johnson. They would look at Quincy Williams. The Saints receivers, they're going to try to get Olave done. They've asked for a lot for Shaheed. But Shaheed's an interesting name. Again, another guy who's in a contract year, but he's young. And a guy who can really be like a field stretcher for you in an era when everybody's looking for speed. He brings that to the table. So that'd be one. I'm just kind of like looking through some of my notes here. I've got like what some teams are looking for too. You know, like the Raiders have gotten calls on guys like you mentioned, Eric Stokes, Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers. I don't know what their appetite is. Like I think that they're right now balancing a little bit of the the roster's not in great shape. So we don't want to screw the coaches over. So like this idea of like just dealing off guys and pick swaps, day 3 pick swaps, like we're not doing that. But like
Right.
we will listen if you give us something good, you know? So, but I mean, the Raiders have a few guys that would be interesting. The Browns, like, I mean, Shelby Harris do anything for you? Like that'd be that sort of name that you'd be looking at. The Titans, I would say like Arden Key, Draymond Jones, like they've gotten calls on those guys. So like I think you're really looking at kind of like supplementary pieces, and then like to me like the most exciting ones again would be like those Jets guys, like where it's like could a Jermaine Johnson become something more for you than he's been for the Jets? You know what I mean? Could a Breece Hall be like a back that you could sign long term? But those are like those to me are ones where it's like that's something you can get excited about just because it's a young player where like maybe there's still some upside to tap into.
What do you make of, and again, I think this is not going to be a thing, and hopefully all sides and all parties will just eventually chill the F out on this. But AJ Brown was interesting to me. I don't think that there's any way that he's going anywhere. But the fact that tucked inside of, I think Schefter.
Let me stop you for 1 second there.
Yeah.
The Eagles just traded a receiver away. Isn't that sort of a tell that they're not going to?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like to me, like that's sort of a tell because if you were planning on trading AJ Brown, you would be holding on to your receiver depth. You wouldn't be trading it away, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just a thought, but I mean, I think that's like kind of a window into Howie's mindset. Now, it doesn't mean somebody can't blow him away, but like just as far as for your planning purposes, like if you're planning on putting AJ on the block, like that's probably not the move you're making like 3 or 4 days ahead of time.
No. And he, the thing about, I thought Brooks Cabina from The Athletic did a good job, like really went deep with AJ on the genesis of all this stuff, like, his trust issues, everything that he's had growing up. And
it's a very deep story about a guy who's reading books on the sideline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you know what? I think it's important sometimes to meet people where they're at in their headspace. And I thought Brooks did a really good job of it. And it kind of helped me understand AJ a little bit more. I've talked to him about, his some of the stuff that happened in Tennessee, especially, and how that made him a little jaded. And so I get it. But ultimately, I think that the solution is to fix the problem and to kind of just get everybody rowing in the same direction. I think that's so much easier than like if you're AJ Brown, do you want to get traded to, I don't know, like do you want to go to like the Cardinals? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to go somewhere where, I mean, it sometimes it sucks in Philly. I get it. And sometimes you have to block, and it's annoying that there's 600 reporters at your locker after every game, but you're going to get your 1,000, you're going to get your, 8, 9 TDs. It's going to be all right. And in the playoffs, you probably dominate. So I don't know.
You hear about these guys talking about legacy and everything else, and especially at that position where everybody's got like incredible numbers now. And, it's like sort of like to me, it like kind of sucks that there are going to be some really good receivers from like when we grew up that are going to be forgotten just because the game's changed. You know what I mean? Like, and like receivers today don't have to worry about like Rodney Harrison ripping their head off as they go across the middle. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I mean, like, I think like it's harder for like a lot of like the AJ storyline here is about his legacy, and his legacy is important to him, right? Like, great. Right. All right. Your legacy is important to you. You know what changes your legacy more than anything else? Winning.
Yeah.
Why do I remember Jerry? Why do I still regard Jerry Rice as the greatest receiver of all time? It's not because of his numbers. His numbers are great, right? Like, but it's because he was a winner. It was because he was the MVP of Super Bowl 23. It was because in every big game, he showed up in the biggest way possible. It's because he was on those stages. Michael Irvin's career numbers aren't great, right? Why is he remembered? 3 Super Bowl championships. He was a national champion in college, right?
Right.
Larry Fitzgerald, what do I remember from Larry Fitzgerald's career? I remember his playoff run in 2009 that was incomparable. You know what I mean? Like that playoff run, like it's very hard for a receiver to take a game over. He took every game over. What do we remember the most from T.O.'s career? Playing on a broken leg in the Super Bowl. So, I don't know. I mean, if I'm advising AJ Brown here, be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? Be careful playing these games, because in Philadelphia, you are afforded the chance to play on the biggest stages. And I understand. I get it, right? Like that. And I think you saw this with Brady at the end of his career, where what was around him wasn't very good. And it was affecting his individual performance. And I would always say back then, you can't expect these guys to be the ultimate competitors when it comes to team accomplishment, and then expect that to stop at individual accomplishment. I don't think I'm playing well. They're going to be just as competitive about that as they are about winning and losing. That should be expected. And I 100% get that on AJ. But I'm just telling you, if you're worried about your legacy, and you're worried about how you're going to be remembered, and you're consumed with these sorts of things, it's not about eight catch, 150-yard, 2 touchdown games. It's about how you play on the biggest stages. And you're in a franchise right now that has continued to afford you the ability to play on the biggest stages. I think T.O. would tell you now, I should have made it work in Philly. And he went to Dallas and he was able to play on big stages there. And that's great. But then after that, it was Buffalo, Cincinnati. He wound up putting himself in a position where he played his career out in places where it was almost like he was forgotten. That's one of the greatest receivers of all time. You think Randy Moss might regret how he handled the end in New England? You know what I mean? Where he went to a Minnesota team where the wheels were coming off, and then he played out the string in Tennessee. And then against San Francisco at the end, he made a Super Bowl, but at that point he was really on the back nine. I just think there's so many cautionary tales here when it comes to players at that position. And you are going to be remembered for playing on the biggest stages, and the numbers will come. And if you have a few weeks where you don't have a ton of catches, that's okay. No one's going to think less of you. It's just an interesting psychology at that position, because you don't control how much you get the ball. And there are all kinds of outside factors that can affect that, that even your coaches don't have control over, So I just think I think he's in a pretty good situation in Philadelphia, that he should it's one of those, trust me, dude, you're going to look back at this in 5 years and you're going to identify yourself as an Eagle. And you're going to be, and if you're talking on some pregame show or in some booth in 15 years ago, this is the time you're going to be referencing. You know what 100%. I mean? You should appreciate it. It's what is Randy Moss reference now? He was only with New England for 3.5 years, less than 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And he references that stuff nonstop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He spent way more time in Minnesota. Jerry Rice, what do you talk to him about? Super Bowl 23, So I just think when these guys are looking at legacy, and so many of these guys are so consumed by legacy, it's the numbers ain't what it's going to be. The numbers will come, if you're a great player, the numbers will come. What you're going to be remembered for is the ability to play on those big stages. And I'll get off my soapbox now, but AJ has the ability to play on those big stages because he's an Eagle.
I mean, you said it too. I mean, and I kept thinking about a guy I covered, Odell Beckham, where it's and again, maybe the success wouldn't have been there, but to have kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing, and kind of leaving management with little choice but to trade you to the Browns, that's a tough spot, and then injuries kind of hit you in another way. But he would have at least had Dable maybe to come in, and who knows, injuries and everything could be different. But I think about that stuff all the time. It's why isn't there a point where you can just kind of love where you're at. And I mean, with AJ Brown too, I'm going to look at this real quick. Always
look,
great.
do you think Tyreek Hill regrets? Like, I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
like if Tyreek Hill had stayed in Kansas City, okay, and let's say they win the same amount of Super Bowls, how differently are we looking at Tyreek Hill?
Yeah. You're right. So even last year was the big drop off, right? Okay, so AJ Brown played in 13 games last year, and he went from 158 targets in 2023 to 97 in 2024. This was the big Kellen Moore changeover, right? Um, Even though he was more successful as a receiver, like he caught caught a larger percentage of balls, even though those targets, each one of the fewer targets that he caught went for longer. And here's a crazy stat, right? I mean, even when your targets drop off so markedly from 158 to 97 from 2023 to 2024, you're still only losing about 300 scrimmage yards. That's not a lot. I mean, and it's not like, so you had 158 targets and 7 touchdowns in 2023, and in 2024 you had 97 targets and 7 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Like, you're finding the end zone at a similar rate. Right now, you're on target for more targets than you got last year, right? Now he's missed a couple of games this year, but he's got 51 targets, still half the season to go, and he had 97 last year. I mean, so again, I mean, I don't know. I just think,
I think it's like, well, look, like I think it's, again, like this has been the psychology of that position forever, right? Like, which is like your worth is like so much of your worth is based on statistics, and statistics are really out of your control. If you're a running back, like a great running back in the day, like could count on, like, I'm probably going to get the ball 20 times in the game. I'm going to have opportunity after opportunity to show who I am as a player. You know, a pass rusher, like he might get double teamed, but he's going to have opportunities to get to the quarterback. A great corner is like judged, like is like on a higher level if you're throwing away from him, right? Like that was like the legend of Deion Sanders. Like some of his best years, he had fewer interceptions because his people didn't throw at him. No one's giving the receiver credit for like carrying double coverage. No one's giving the receiver credit from like removing the safety from the box so the running game is more effective, you know?
right.
And that's part of the problem with that position. Is the psychology of that position is like, well, I'm a great player, but no one's regarding me that way because my numbers aren't the same. And it's like, oh, what's wrong with him when I'm doing all of these little things for the team, you know? And so much of that's out of your control. And so it's just an interesting thing. And I again, like, I think if I were advising AJ Brown, I would tell him, like, you got a good situation there, dude. Be very careful what you wish for.
All right, I want to play fun little game, and this is Albert's chance as a tried and true NFL insider to embarrass me and to make me look stupid. How does that sound?
Or it might make me look bad. I don't even know what the game is. So let's go.
Yeah, I like to think of this stuff on the fly. So, like I said, I have 12 dream trades that I wrote about, and I'm going to pitch them to you, Albert. Some of them very quickly, and some of them we can talk about more at length. But I want you to give this a score from 1 to 10. Okay, and 10 means that if you were to call both GMs and pitch this to them, and you can, if you want to do it, Albert, just throw them both on speakerphone and see what happens here. If you want to call both GMs and pitch it to them, okay, a 10 is like when both of the GMs are like, you know what, that's actually a pretty good idea. Let's think about that. And a 1 is, this looks like AI wrote it on a content farm website.
But then I gotta say who it doesn't make sense for, right?
You can just tell me, like, this is flat out completely stupid or ridiculous, and you can pick apart anything that you choose. And again, 1 to 10, 1 being AI content farm, awful trade. 10 being, if I pitch this to 2 GMs, they would be like, who's this Conor Orr guy? Let's put him in our front office. Okay. All right, let's do it. First one, I got Trey Hendrickson to the Colts. And my return on this would be Trey Hendrickson to the Colts for a third and conditional fourth that is tied to play time for the remainder of the season.
Okay.
So you get Trey Hendrickson. So and in this scenario, Cincinnati gets blown out this weekend. So let's say Cincinnati gets blown out on Sunday. Mike Brown's all of a sudden like, all right, this isn't happening. I tried, but I got to start getting some money back on this deal, and I got to do it quick. Okay. So give me a score from 1 to 10 on that one.
3. I don't like that one.
It's just above AI content.
I just think the Bengals have to do their best to keep the light on for Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't, and like, to me, like, you don't, I mean, man, like, it would be tough to turn down a 3 and a 4. And I think it does make sense for the Colts, but the Bengals asking price, like, if this trade was going to happen in the summer, because it was something the two teams discussed, I think the price would have been like a second and Grover Stewart. So you would be asking now the Bengals to move way off of their spot. And basically at that point, you're signaling to your team, we're pulling the plug on the Flacco experiment. We're not like worried about like getting Burrow back and what it's going to look like when Burrow gets back. And now if you're them, do you look at it and say, like, we're not even going to push it with Joe. We're going to let him heal and not play him this year. I just don't think it matches up with the way that they've handled things thus far. So I promise I'll give you higher numbers, and I'm not trying to start this off on the wrong foot and make it contentious. And we're not drumming up drama here.
This is exactly what I'm hoping for.
We're not drumming up drama here, but I'm going to give you a 3 on that one.
All right, this next one was discussed by your boys on 92.3, I think, in Cleveland, and they both loved it. Okay, right. So if a talk radio guy agrees with me, it's got to be good. Right. But David Njoku to the Broncos for a 2026 third-round pick. This gives Sean Payton the ability to go 12 personnel. They're one of the lowest double tight end teams in football right now.
Let's do it.
I think they're like the third.
I'm going to give you an 8.
All right.
Give me an 8. I'm going to give you an 8. I like it. I like it.
But here's why I want.
So Njoku's perfect because that's the role he's playing in Cleveland right now with Fannin, right? Like, so he's the inline tight end. And so we've seen what that looks like with Fannin as the move guy. So, like, if I'm Denver, what this does is this impacts the way defenses have to handle me, and it's going to affect the run game too, because they have to treat this like 12 personnel, but then you can like basically like move right into 11 personnel with Evan Ingram. So I like, and I don't want to get too technical here, but this forces the defense to decide, do we want to treat this like it's 12 or 11? Are we going to be in our base?
Like the 49ers, right? Like the
right.
Rams,
and like
right?
with a smart quarterback like Nick's, it's like, okay, if they're going to treat this like we're in our nickel, I'm checking to a run, right? If they're going to treat this like we're in the base, then I'm going to, then man, we have them where we want them in the passing game, you know?
It's good for RJ Harvey.
So I just think it like opens so many things up if you can do this. All due respect to Mercedes Lewis, who's now aboard and whose knees probably feel like mine and Connor's do, because I believe he'd be right in between us age-wise. I think
Mercedes is my age. No.
He's 41.
Oh, you're 53 and I'm 37. So.
Oh, stop. You're 37? I thought you're 37. Actually, yeah, no, we'll be right in the middle. 41 will be right in the middle then.
So when I pitched that one, I was excited when they signed Mercedes Lewis because it's like, now Mercedes has been, and coaches have told me this through the years, he's the quintessential like number 2 tight end in a Kyle Shanahan offense. He's a brutal blocker, just beats the crap out of people.
Yeah, I know. He's like a tackle.
Yeah. And so that's why teams like him. And so at the very least, pitching the Njoku trade and then having them sign Mercedes Lewis was like, okay, I'm a little bit.
Njoku though, the thing about Njoku is Njoku
different
can hurt you in the passing game too. Yep. You know what I mean?
And here's the last thing I'll say about it. Okay. 12 personnel was the big in vogue thing. And everyone was like, wow, look at, the Rams play with 11 personnel, but it looks like 12 personnel. And all these teams are doing 12 personnel now. So cool. What's getting really cool is 13 personnel. There's a couple teams that are using it a lot this year and to a lot of success.
And,
so maybe they need another tight end. I don't know.
And so now, and also like now, if you take, so like now you got Njoku, right? And so now, so the Browns, and like this is a little tricky for them on that end of it, right? So he's an older player who's probably, he's got mileage left, but he would be in that Garrett category that I detailed earlier in the week of like, probably won't have a lot left by the time you get good again. So now if you're the Browns, you got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds in April.
Hello. And it seems like they're actually, like they're getting somewhere with some of their picks. All right. This one I'm not expecting at all to do well on, but it was just fun to think about. Garrett Wilson and a 5th round pick to the Giants for a 2026 second and a 2027 1. So if you're Joe Schoen, you save your 1.
Yeah.
You get Jackson Dart, another weapon. So you have Garrett Wilson and Malik.
So now you got Garrett Wilson and Neighbors. And then Neighbors, you're going to have to look at paying him probably after next year, right?
Right. So, and I think the number, like it would almost be like, so when Garrett gets to the point where you can start getting out of that deal.
Are you at that point committing to having multiple $30 million receivers?
Well, because the rest of your best, who else are you paying? Right? Jackson, you're not paying Jackson Dart for another 2 or 3 years.
Well, you're paying Dexter Lawrence. You would hope you're going to be paying Abdul Carter. You're paying Andrew Thomas. Paulson Adebo is on like a relatively big free agent deal.
They got some money. Got some money to throw at Garrett Wilson. Come on.
I'm going to give that a 6 because I would love to see that. I just don't. The Jets need picks. I'm going to go 5 because I just think the Jets, that's a tough position to fill. And like, if they're drafting a quarterback this year, having Garrett Wilson would bring a lot of value. Like to me, like that's why I look at like Breece Hall and I'm like, I could definitely trade Breece Hall if I'm them. I love Breece Hall as a player, but Braylon Allen, I think, has got a chance to be really good. And he's hurt now. Maybe they get him back in December, but like that's a guy like, okay, like he can be our running back when the young quarterback comes in. I would look at it like with Garrett Wilson, where I would be like, I want that guy around when I draft my young quarterback. You know what I mean? And like, if you are drafting a young quarterback, if you do it next year, right, then it's going to be much harder. If you're spending a 1st round pick on that quarterback, it's going to be harder to find a receiver of that level, like that. In fact, you might have to give up that sort of draft pick haul to go get one. So I would personally say I would hang on to Garrett Wilson if I was the Jets. No bias on that one.
Poor Garrett Wilson, man. He's not going to have like a good quarterback until he's like 30. You know what I mean? It really ultimately is. It's sad. Like it's a bummer, right? Because I could argue that he might be one of the most singularly talented wide receivers in the NFL right now.
Yep.
Just incredible.
You need to tell me he's very gifted. Yeah.
But he went from Zach Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, who clearly favored, bringing in Devontae Adams instead. And then, then you go to Justin Fields and then you're at
2021 Ohio State receiver room with Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, and Emeka Egbuka in it.
Forget about it. All right.
Pretty good.
Here's another one. Here's one that I like. Wyatt Teller to the Seahawks, Albert, for a 4th round pick in 2026 and a 6th round pick in 2027. Seahawks have a big hole.
Give me the return again. So Wyatt Teller to the Seahawks for?
You get a 4th round pick this year, 6th round pick next year.
Oh, if I'm Seattle,
Wyatt Teller's.
Yeah.
Now, the Browns have to re-sign him.
They've got Gray Zabel now. I mean, like you go from the interior of the offensive line being like a black hole for them last year. You've got Charles Cross, right, is your left tackle. You've got Abe Lucas as your right tackle. And now all of a sudden you've got Grace Abel, who's on a rookie contract, and Wyatt Teller. So to me, like that would for Seattle would be almost like the Joe Tooney, Trey Smith dynamic, right? Where like eventually you're going to move on from the older guy, right? And then when you put the younger guy on a new contract, but for the time being, you've got the two together. I like that one a lot.
Okay.
I mean, Godspeed to whoever's playing quarterback for the Browns after you do that one. But
I mean, I don't think they give a shit. So they haven't given a shit the whole year. So what does it matter, right? Might as well just keep going. Like I think I would have put Joel Bitonio.
I'll give you a 7 on that one. I'll give you a 7 on that one. I like that one.
All right, because I think like Joel Bitonio would probably want to retire a Brown at this point. Like he is like a
he's like kind of like iconic for them. Yeah,
so, he is. Yeah.
All
right, and another Seahawks one, just very quickly. Because again, the right side of that offensive line is just hurting, right? So you go and you get Wyatt Teller, but you also call the Giants and say, hey, for a 6th-round pick, I'll just take Evan Neal. I'll take him off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Clearly it's not working there. We can see if we can make some use of him over here. Like, let's just get him out of that room. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, that would be like a straight like reclamation project. So I always like those.
And he doesn't have to, right. He doesn't have to play. Like maybe he's your jumbo tackle for a little bit.
It's
maybe
a swing. It's a swing tackle. Like you need a change of scenery. We're going to move.
6th-round pick. Yeah.
Yeah. He's so perplexing. Like the ultimate, like, I don't know, like the old looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, it's just like he for one reason or another, like has never been able to put it together. Yeah, I mean, that's like a 6 or a 7 for me. Like I don't like that's like I almost feel like I want to give that a higher grade. You know what I mean? Because it's like that's like almost like why wouldn't you do that if you're the Giants?
Sure.
Like his confidence is shot. He doesn't think you believe in him. Like, and rightfully so, he hasn't earned that, so is this just kind of like one of those clean break type things? I don't mind that at all.
Here's one that I think you'll love, but I'm not sure. Let's say if the Dolphins lose tonight, and we're taping this at 10 a.m. on Thursday, send Bradley Chubb to the Eagles for a 4th-round pick. Chubb, if you're the Eagles, like you talk about not needing a receiver, not trading AJ Brown because you got rid of John Mechie, like you're bringing Brandon Graham back, who is, so clearly you need help on the edge. Bradley Chubb had his best season under Vic Fangio in 2023, even though that whole Dolphins defense was a disaster. I don't know. What do you think about that? Versatile.
I love that one. You know what? Like that's going to be like a 9 for me. Because like if you're the Dolphins, you're clearing the decks. Right. Like you're adding draft capital. And you're not, I don't think at his number, you're bringing him back next year anyway, regardless of who's making the decisions there. And like, what I love about a trade like that is for the team getting the player, it's a known quantity. You know what I mean? Like what you're getting with Bradley Chubb, you're not guessing what he's going to look like in the defense. Cause like you said, Vic had him in Denver. So, I really like the idea of that. And like, that's one of those where it was like, it would be like 2 months from now. Oh, look how dumb the Dolphins are, but they're not. I mean, they're not going.
No, it's not going to work for them. It's just not going to work for them.
It's not going to work for them. Right.
All right. I got a couple more here. This one, I wonder if you'll love. And he had a bounce back game last week, but if they end up toggling at the quarterback position and the Jets, I mean, they're not going anywhere. What if you're Kwesi and you call up, if you call up the Jets and say, I'll give you a conditional 5 for Justin Fields. Let him go sit in the Kevin O'Connell School of Quarterback Reclamation. Let him hang out here. We need a vet.
Yeah.
They pulled a guy from the XF. Who was the quarterback that the Vikings signed yesterday?
So that's a 5. I think what Woody said complicates everything for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that organization.
John Wolford, the Vikings just signed.
I mean, here's the thing.
They need a guy.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And I love the idea of Justin getting the chance to work there. I just think the money is an issue, right? And like, so the idea of putting him there and giving him a chance to work with Kevin, I love that idea. The money's an issue because he's got $10 million guaranteed for next year.
Yep.
Then
Which
for the
is not
Jets,
bad for a backup, by the way.
But no, but this is like for me, this is a symbolic thing, but I think it's an important thing. Do you want the perception out there that Woody says something and then a week later you're trading him? You know what I mean? Like I just
Too
think
late,
like
pal.
it's one of those
You already have
tricky
it.
things. It's one of those tricky things where it's like you don't want to have rabbit ears with your owner or even create the appearance that you have rabbit ears with your owner, especially when that's your owner. You know what I mean? Like, so I think just as far as like establishing with your players, with, you know, inside your locker room, if you're Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, that you have your guys' backs. Like, I think turning back to Justin Fields, I think there was real value in that for Muji and Glenn, because it showed like, hey guys, like the owner went and popped off and said something, but we still got you. We got your back, and you know we're gonna still work with you. You know, we still trust you. And this is a guy who, and Justin, who hasn't played great. There's no question about that, but is very well liked with the coaching staff, is very well liked in the locker room, is very well respected across the board. And so I just think after everything that you just went through, because the owner said something, I personally think like this is a guy where you can make a statement to your locker room that you're going to stick by guys and you got guys' backs if you stick with them. So I'm going to lower that to like a 3. I just think for the Jets, it's like there's not enough value that you can get for him. Like, I think it means more to be able to put your foot in the ground and say, no, we're not we're not just going to do this because our owner said something. You know what I mean? Like, now maybe he's the start of the rest of the year, maybe he isn't, but either way, like we got these guys' backs.
Man, I thought like by resurrecting,
and that sounds
Buckeye,
stupid and hokey, but
get,
I think there is something to it.
I mean, I would say after last year, all chips are off the table when it comes to Woody Johnson saying stuff and people reacting to it. But you know, I thought I was going to get more points by resurrecting a Buckeye and appealing to your sensibility there. But that's okay. I got a couple more, and we could do these quick. This one's not very exciting, but what if the Patriots and Josh McDaniels, who drafted this guy, call the Raiders on Tyree Wilson? They need some pass rushing help.
Ooh.
And Tyree Wilson too. Did you know he has the same wingspan as Giannis from the Bucks? This guy is like incredible.
I believe it's
wingspan.
Giannis. Not the G is silent. You said Giannis.
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 Okay,
Giannis.
sorry. I don't
Don't
like
ask me to pronounce on Tentacumpo. Is that right?
I don't know. I watch games that aren't rigged. I
think
I don't watch basketball.
You're anti FBI investigation.
What a joke of an investigation, by the way. The Trailblazers aren't even going to fire Chauncey Billups. Like, he played poker. Who gives a shit?
Remember during all the Trump stuff when the NBA was going to take over and it was going to be the NFL was going to die, right?
Yeah, that was a cute little storyline for a little while there.
So I would say, like, again, like I love like to me, like this is in that Chubb category, right? Like a reclamation project. You give him a chance to work with Mike Vrabel, who's sort of a specialist with that position because it's the position he played. I like it. I'm going to give you like a 7 or 8 there. I like that.
All right. Real fast here. Because some of these, I mean, Alvin Kamara to the Chiefs. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco's hurt now. 2026 5th round pick and a 2027 conditional 6. I mean, I know Kamara wants to retire a Saint, but brother, if you have the chance to have a Super Bowl run with the Chiefs, I mean, I might be a little light on the comp. I don't know, but putting Kamara in that offense is tasty.
Yeah, I would say Mickey Loomis won't do that, so I'm going to give you a 5. But okay. I like the idea of I'll upgrade to a 6 because I want to see Kamara in the Chiefs offense. that has like some like Christian McCaffrey to the Niners vibes. You know what I mean? Like,
so good.
What would that become? And I know he's older than McCaffrey was, so it'd be less of a long-term answer, of course. But You see some of the stuff that Andy's doing with Rashard Smith now, like the rookie they have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that gives you a taste of what Kamara and that offense would be. Kamara is perfect for Andy. Like that would be a lot of fun. I want to see it. I just don't think the Saints are going to do that.
All right, last ones. Trevor Penning of the Saints. They did not pick up his 5th-year option. Going over to the Lions for a 2026 4th rounder. Taylor Decker's a little banged up. You need some depth on that offensive line for the stretch run. Maybe you bring him into the Lion Pride, whatever they call themselves, and you eventually, he materializes.
No respect for Dan Skipper.
I love Dan Skipper, but like you run this team like at 100 degrees at all times. You need depth on the offensive line, right?
I like this. I'll give you a 7 on that just because I think it's like one of those things. Like I think I've told you the conversation I had with Jerry Reese back in the day that's always stuck with me, which was why they kept drafting defensive linemen, because you want to keep feeding the strength of your team. Because if you do lose guys, like it's a threat to your identity, And
No
so
question.
like having depth at like a position that's like, that's who we are. That's the identity of our team. Like that's been the offensive line for the Lions for a long time. So I'm all for that stuff.
All right. Eric Stokes to the Lions also for his 2027 6th-round pick. 2027.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great find by the Raiders. They might want to re-sign him. I mean, he's
I think the Raiders would love to keep working with Stokes, and I'm going to give that a 4 because I think one thing the Raiders are going to be cognizant of is just they don't want to screw their coaches over. The roster's already thin. I think this relates to the Jacoby Myers thing too for them, where it's like all right, like that sounds good, but what position are we putting our coaches in the rest of the year when they're trying to build a program? I like it for the Lions because they could use corner help, and there are a lot of teams out there. Minnesota's looking for corners, Indy's looking for corners, Green Bay. Obviously the Rams already got one. They were out there looking too. So there's a lot of teams that are out there. The Rams wound up with Roger McCreary. I think like Stokes is an interesting name because I don't think the Raiders intend to move him, but I do think that the Raiders are going to listen on everybody. And so could you entice them? Maybe. But I'm with you. I think it's somebody they want to keep working with.
Last one. Send Dexter Lawrence to the Bills of Buffalo for a 2026 one.
I want to see it because Ed Oliver's out till January, right? So this is obviously a different player than Ed Oliver, but like the idea of having Dexter Lawrence in the middle of that defense, you've got the relationship between Joe Shane and Brandon Beane that would help there. But no, the Giants should not do that. He's too good a player. Sorry, Connor.
But Carl Banks said he was bad, Albert. Oh. Doesn't that mean anything?
So far be it for me to try to throw my football my football know-how on the table against Carl Banks. I won't do that, but I'm for keeping great players, and Dexter Lawrence is a great player.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here first. I think
you heard it here first. I know more about football than Carl Banks. I think that's the box.
Yeah, Shelby, just right? Can you clip that if you don't mind and just throw that out there? Listen, I had a lot of fun, and that's what trade season is all about. It's about us. It's about us. It's about
a lot of fun that's fake and like isn't gonna wind up amounting to anything. Which is
it's like professional wrestling. Yes, 100%. Yeah, and that's why we're here. So listen, enjoy your weekend. Have a good time. Be safe. Trick or treating. Don't eat the apples from the creepy neighbor's house.
By the way, Connor, I will be at the Notre Dame game this weekend for my son's 11th birthday.
Wow.
And friend of the show, Brady Quinn, has called me the Ohio State mush before because he's seen me at a couple of Ohio State Michigan games, taunted me at one of them, right? Taunted me at one of them where I may or may not have been calling for Mike Vrabel to be the head coach because I was in a very bad spot, very bad place. But he was calling me the mush for Ohio State. So then I informed him that Ohio State had my record actually wasn't so. It just had kind of gone the wrong way in those Michigan situations, right? So I've now started to call myself with Brady. Now I'm the Notre Dame mush because Notre Dame is 0-3 with me in the stands. So we'll see if we can get that turned around. We'll see if we can get that turned around this weekend for you. Although I will be rooting for Bill O'Brien and the Boston College Eagles.
Dude, if you fuck us on this while we're trying to make the playoffs, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just saying that. And then that'll create a dynamic.
Mad at my son. Be mad at my son Steve. It's he's the reason we're going.
It has nothing to do with Steve. Happy birthday, Steve. Don't let your dad dick around out there. Okay. Go Notre Dame. We got to win out. That's the only option. So enjoy your Halloween. Be safe. Trick or treat. Eat lots of Lifesaver gummies. They're the best. And we'll see you guys on Monday.